talking here. Um, we're talking about the Mitt Romney running in Utah. So, as you notice, I'm sitting here. I've got my laptop going. I got Brandon Tatum. If you guys don't know, he's an ex-NFL player that went against the NFL, started speaking about America and our rights. I'll be talking about him. He's getting on and talk about gun rights in America, our Second Amendment, and protecting such. So that's something we'll get to in a few. It's kind of important with this shooting, the recent shooting we had in Florida and stuff. But first, on my big screen, we're talking about Mitt Romney in Utah. Now, here's the thing to go over. I'm going to go ahead and push play on that. But here's the thing to remember. Mitt Romney Mitt Romney is a Trump supporter. Now, Trump wanted the guy that retired to be there, but he retired. Romney's coming in. Romney's very well liked there. He grew up there. He's got family ties there. And why is this important? Because Utah is an extremely red state. Okay? It's a state that the Republicans and the Trump supporters, we have to keep. We have to keep that state. The problem, though, is Salt Lake City, Utah, the last I checked, was a sanctuary city. So I'd love to know what Romney thinks about that, you know. But other than that, he's a Trump supporter now. He did run against him, but he ran against Barack, I believe it was. He's got good morals, good values. He should bring some values back to Utah. I'm hoping he stops that sanctuary city stuff. You know, that's really the big thing. So I'm just gonna let this kind of play out. We're gonna go into the gun rights in America because that's the big topic going on right now. But I just wanted to take a second and, you know, I wanted to talk about Mitt Romney possibly running in Utah as senator. I don't see that being a problem. Maybe at some point he'll make his way back up to a presidency. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I live in Oregon. It's a very liberal state. We need more Republican-ish, more Trump-ish, more American Party-ish. Because for far too long we've had Greens. We've had people from both parties that have literally corrupted the system. So, in my opinion, we don't need rich people running for office. What we need is real people running for office. People like myself in Oregon running for office, for governor. We need real people running. So I'm sure this is going to get into this gun control thing. And, you know, just in case you don't know, this is apparently a 19-year-old may have accomplished or may not. They're not talking about that. He was apparently expelled from school. He got mad, decided to go home and get his legal automatic weapon, come back, decided to start firing at the school. Now, immediately this has sparked huge debates on gun control or gun rights. And, you know, first and foremost, the liberals never miss a chance to try to get a gun control agenda in. Okay, now, apparently they think that guns kill people when in fact it's people with guns that kill people. Okay, it's the lack of gun responsibility, it's the lack of caring, and if you want to talk about the specific Florida incident, let me tell you who's at fault. The feds are at fault because they knew this guy had already done warnings, this guy's been on the list. He should have never been allowed to obtain a legal firearm because of his mental background. because of his actual threats that he made on social media, all over. I mean, his schoolmates knew because he had previously threatened them. The school put him on a list for not allowing him to carry a bag at school because they were afraid he would carry a weapon because of his threats. So, when you really want to talk about who's failed the system, let's talk about why 19-year-olds are capable of getting an automatic weapon and going to school and opening fire. First and foremost, they do this because, one, there's a lack of parenting. Okay, in most cases, a parent should look upon a 19-year-old boy and should teach that boy right from wrong, that every choice we make has a consequence. But far too many families are broken up, far too many children are grown up without a father figure in the home. They have no respect values, they have no morals. Many of these children are babysitted and programmed by video games like Grand Theft Auto or Call of Duty. Games that teach how to weaponize yourself, how to teach yourself to be a killing machine. They legitimize thug life or murder. So essentially these kids think it's okay if they don't get their way to show up and start assassinating people. Now, some of these kids don't, some of these kids are not, or they don't show any signs. And I understand that. Sometimes criminals commit their first acts. So it's hard to stop everyone from committing an act. But let me tell you what you could do to start curbing the problem. First and foremost, if the feds know this guy has a medical background, if the feds know that this guy is possibly insane, possibly suicidal, or possibly homicidal, you probably shouldn't allow the guy to have a gun, let alone a machine gun. Okay? Now, secondly, apparently he had smoke grenades he was able to obtain, possibly legally. Okay, against, because at 18 you can go and buy a gun, you can buy pretty much any of this stuff legally. But he had to pass background checks. And the question to me is, how does he pass a background check when his school won't let him carry a bag? When his friends all know he's nuts and capable of murder? How is that? So, of course, the government fails to do their job. And the first thing, instead of getting this kid away from the school and possibly putting him in a place where our kids are safer, the first thing they start doing is talking about gun control. Let me tell you what. Now, it's not related, but open borders bring tons of illegal guns. And I don't see the left trying to stop open borders or the flow of illegal guns. The only ones they want to go after is legal guns off of responsible American gun owners. Okay? They use every example of some psycho with a gun who commits murder as a reason to try to take our rights to protect ourselves. It's because of people like that that I want my gun. It's because of people like that that I need my gun. So this is something that this guy Brandon Tatum is talking about. He's talking about the fact that if you come into his house with a gun or without a gun looking to rape, murder, or hurt his family, he's going to shoot you. Okay? That's what makes America great. The ability to protect ourselves from not just people breaking into our home, but from an over-exaggerated, over-excelled army that no longer represents the American people and are ran by a new world agenda. Because once we get people with blue helmets kicking in our door, and once these people realize that we no longer have weapons because they have systematically removed each gun out of us, the free, brave American people, They realize that they can come in and they will literally be able to shoot sheep. And that's the goal. To delegitimize and to de-arm the American people. So every time you get these crazy agendas that happen, you have to question whether or not the government is truly responsible. Whether or not the government made him do it. Or whether or not this guy's just merely psycho. The simple fact is, very seldom do we get a normal, God-loving, Christian man that gets a gun with the intent of protecting his family. Very seldom does that person go out and commit murder with that gun. In fact, most cases, that person is the one that shoots the murderer who's trying to kill your kids, your wife, or you. And since we're in this topic of guns, another area of guns that the liberals, in fact even the rhinos, never want to talk about is the guns that flow into our inner cities. You realize that 4 of the world's largest and most dangerous gangs live in Los Angeles alone? Okay, 4. What does this mean? This means that if you go into LA, our police officers are outmanned and outgunned by an army of young people sporting a color and willing to kill cops. And this is one city in America. So if you take every one of those hoods, ghettos, whatever you want to call them, inner cities, that are infected and effected by gangs. Think about how many gangs are driven by drugs and guns. And many of these kids don't go buy guns legally. They buy guns off the streets. They buy illegal guns. Or they trade using drugs and other means. You see, the real problem in this country isn't the legal gun owner that they continuously attack. The real problem in this country is the gang culture, the video violence, the video game violence that conforms and subverts our youth. The real violence is this anti-American agenda that promotes and pushes basically killing off America to our youth. The real idea is this socialist agenda coming from the left, this Antifa agenda coming from the left, this Black Lives Matter agenda coming from the left. The real problem is all these different subversions that are set up to program our youth to systematically commit murder. Whether it be against each other, for the color of a rag, or whether it be against kids at school, teachers at school, because of the lack of discipline, respect. Whatever it may be, our youth is taught that it is okay to open fire on people for no reason. So, when you hear about this gun control agenda, don't let them reverse the narrative. Don't let them change this narrative. Because if you really want to talk about gun control, don't talk to me about gun control until you're willing to go after the guns inside our inner cities. And until you're willing to go after the guns flowing over our borders illegally. When you're willing to go after those guns, then I'll believe you when it comes to gun control. But as long as you want to build walls of sanctuary and give illegals the ability to pump their drugs and their weapons into our country, don't come talking to me about gun control. And that's basically my word on that. If you like the message, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the comment, or like the video, hit that box for comments, hit the bell for notifications. And, you know, I talk about this all the time, guys. I'm just going to let this camera run because I'm going through various videos here. But if you guys haven't heard this guy, Brandon Tatum, just pick a listen to this guy. He's really good to listen to, man. He really says how it is. He used to be a police officer. He used to be an NFL player. and he has one of the best approaches that I've heard to gun control. So. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but firearms and weapons that we have today. Like for instance, when they were thinking about establishing the Second Amendment, they weren't thinking about rifles and high capacity weapons. Let me tell you something real quick. I think that the problem is that people don't understand history, right? You have to understand history. This guy right here, ever proceed Brennan Tatum, into the future. So, for example, the reason why we have the Second Amendment is because we are a free nation. We are a nation of individuals who are controlling our destiny. The way that this is supposed to work hold is on that now. I want to cut in for 1 second, though. What he was talking about is, you hear people talk about we were never intended to have assault rifles and that we were supposed to have single shot, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so if you're telling me our forefathers are looking down the barrel of a Gatling gun, or they're looking down the barrel of a MiG, or an F-18, or a nuclear missile, you're telling us that our forefathers are not going to want to give us the same ability to protect ourselves? Is that what the message is? Because in all actuality, the truth is, the Second Amendment was designed to give the American people the ability to protect themselves against the government, against anybody looking to destroy this country, even our own government. Okay? And that's the something to remember. So, with that being said, let's continue here. Obviously have individual states, and then these United States make up our country, okay? The federal government is not supposed to usurp authority over the people. We vote for the president. We vote for our congressmen. We vote for people in political power. They are not appointed on their own. It's the people who vote them in. Yeah. Now, at any form and fashion, these people become rogue, and they decide that they're going to trump the Constitution and enslave us or do whatever they want to do with us. We have the right to bear arms to defend ourselves. Yeah. This is the point that people are missing. We are supposed to be able to resist some type of a government tyranny. We are able to resist even rogue other people. If I have the property and I have boundaries on my property, people... Okay, what he's saying is we not only have the right, but we have the duty to protect ourselves against any enemies, foreign or domestic, and against any government, even our own, if it's become too large and no longer represents the best interests of the American people. That's why we have the Second Amendment, to protect we the people, by the people, and for the people. This is why they're consistently attacking our right to bear arms. This is why they're consistently attacking our ability to protect ourselves. And this is exactly why America is falling apart. Because people are lining up to give over their guns. They're lining up to give over their means of protecting themselves in the names of false narratives pushed by madmen. And really, so that's what I'm really saying, guys. Wake up. Don't let one event manipulate you into giving up your rights. Don't let a systematic or a series of events manipulate you into giving up your rights. Remember, the government can convince us of anything. They can convince us and subvert us as they have for years. So wake up. Do your research. And for God's sake, do not give up your right to protect yourself. Because the minute you do, America will fall. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the videos. Comment in the box below. Hit that bell for notifications. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and share, guys. Share. Let the messages get out. We need to build this thing. With that being said, peace. Duncan out.